Can the Chicago Bears win the NFC North based on where things are at right now? And more importantly, will they win the NFC North? Let's talk about it, people. What is going on, y'all? Fox Sports All back at it with another video. Talking, of course, NFL here to talk about the Chicago Bears. So if you're a Bears fan, guys, please do hit that subscribe button down below and make sure to hit the bell icon so you are, in fact, notified every time I drop a new video. All right, so I want to talk about if the Bears can win the division because right now it is up for grabs. I mean, take a look at this, guys. We got the Packers at 5-2-1. We got the Lions and Bears with the same record at 5-3, and we got the Vikings at 4-4. I mean, this is the best division in football, an absolute gauntlet. So I'm thinking in my head, like, all right, why don't I go through the rest of the season schedule for each of these teams and give a win-loss prediction and then see how the record shakes out for all these teams and then, you know, see what chance the Bears have. The Bears absolutely have a chance to win the division. Now, will they is a question, but I thought it was a fun exercise and I thought it was time to pull out the whiteboard for you guys. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and hop over to the whiteboard and go through this. So hopefully you guys enjoy that and I'll see you on the other side. All right, so can the Chicago Bears win the division? Let's go ahead and find out. So I have got on the whiteboard here for you guys every team in the division and their next, or I should say their remaining games. So what I'm going to go do is go through every single team and the rest of their schedule, predict the win-loss record, and then have that record for you guys here at the end. And then we can take a look and see if the Bears can, in fact, win the division based on, you know, kind of where they shake out as far as how things are concerned with the win-losses. So here we go. In no particular order, we'll just start with the Packers here from the left. So they have the Eagles up next. And, you know, for the purposes of making sure the video isn't extremely long, I'll just go ahead and, you know, kind of run through these. But, yeah, man, the Eagles should be obviously a tough game for the Packers. And they have lost to much lesser opponents, right? Like the Panthers, the Browns. So to me, this is an L. The defending Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles, will beat the Green Bay Packers. All right, next week after that, they got the Giants in New York. And the Giants, again, are not a great football team, though they are frisky. But I will take the Packers there. You got to give them that respect for at least beating the Giants. Then they take on the Minnesota Vikings after that. The Vikings have been frisky as well, man. Took down the Lions recently. They could certainly, you know, put up a fight here against the Packers. But more than likely, you asked me to pick, I'm going to take the Packers here. They're a better football team than the Vikings. Then you take on the Lions in Detroit here. This is where I think the Packers take another L here. The Lions, to me, are the better football team. And in Detroit, I think that offense is going to be hard to stop, even with the Packers' solid defense. Then we take on the Bears here. The Bears I shouldn't say we, by the way. I don't know why the heck I said we. The Packers take on the Bears here. This is going to be, I believe, in Green Bay, the first matchup of the season between the two teams. And I believe the Packers win this matchup against the Bears. Again, the Bears, you know, much improved football team under Ben Johnson. But I do think that, you know, it's going to be very hard to win in Lambeau, though I would love it. And, you know, sneak peek, I'm probably telling you guys that we're splitting the season series. All right, after that, you got the Denver Broncos in Denver. This is a very tough game. I went back and forth on, you know, who could win this football game because the Broncos can certainly beat the Packers. Absolutely they can. So I thought about it and said, you know what, I'm going to put that as an L, but then I'm like, all right, you know what, let me just make it a W here. But certainly, just because my gut feeling was saying they'll beat them, but certainly they could absolutely lose to the Broncos, all right? Then you got the Bears here in Chicago. Yeah, you know that's an L. I told you the Packers are not sweeping us, so I'm going to have the Bears taking the one at home, losing in Lambeau on the road. Then you got the Ravens here. That's a loss to me. Lamar and company should be in full swing competing for the division, competing for a playoff spot, and this should be a very tough out for the Packers. And finally, they end the season against the Minnesota Vikings. I will still say they beat the Vikings again, man, but we'll see. J.J. McCarthy, it's still too early to say what he is. So there you have it. That is the full record right there as far as win-losses. So adding all that up here, we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 10 wins here, 7 losses, and that one tie against the Cowboys maybe that could come, in handy for the Packers as we talk about these other teams. So that's the record prediction I have for them. Again, this Broncos game very, very iffy. They could lose that. They could go to 9-8 by losing to the Broncos. So again, very, very iffy game right there. I just couldn't decide. All right, here we go. We got the Lions next year, and going through this schedule at the Commanders, I think that's a win. Commanders are completely decimated right now. I think their season is over. At the Eagles, I'm going to say that's a loss. Defending Super Bowl champs, I think they beat them. Giants, that's a win. All right, Packers, I had them losing, the Packers losing to the Lions, so obviously that's going to be a W here. The Cowboys, I think they beat them. Cowboys aren't very good. Rams are a very good team. Matt Stafford is playing out of his damn mind. That is a loss for the Lions. Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they beat them. It's a solid defense, decent offense with Aaron Rodgers, but I think the better. Vikings, I think they beat the Vikings. And then the Bears here in Chicago, I believe Ben Johnson gets his revenge from the earlier game this season, and they lose to the Bears, okay? Strictly a revenge game right there that I believe Ben Johnson wins. So here we go. 5-3 right now, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11-6 for the Detroit Lions. Here we go. Moving on to our Chicago Bears. And you've got the Giants up next. I think they beat the Giants. Got the Vikings. I know I'm hating on the Vikings, man, but I think this team is just not that good. So I'm going to go ahead and say we beat them as well. Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. Here we go. I'm struggling with this one. I will say that this is most likely a loss, but work with me here because I'm struggling, okay? Then you got the Eagles on Black Friday. I think we lose that game. Then you got the Packers. I told you the Packers will beat us in Lambeau, so that's an L. So I basically have 3 straight L's here, which seems very unlikely for a Ben Johnson team. So if you want to flip, that Minnesota game with the Pittsburgh game and say, hey, we lose to Minnesota, but we win against Pittsburgh, so be it. But again, do you really think they win both of these games? They could. They certainly could, but I just was trying to be more realistic. Cleveland Browns, I think we beat them. I think we beat the Packers like I have here at home. We lose to the 49ers, and then we win against the Lions. All right, so here we go. 5 wins right now, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and a 7 is what I would have the Bears at. Again, these 2 games right here, very tricky to figure out. And finally, we have the Minnesota Vikings here. So here we go. Baltimore Ravens lose in that matchup. I have them losing to the Bears. I have them losing to the Packers. I think they lose to the Seahawks. I think they beat the Commanders. I believe they beat at the Dallas Cowboys. Man, that's a tough one. I don't know. Let's say they beat them, and then they beat the Giants. They lose to the Lions, and they lose to the Packers. So there you have it. They finish 7-9. Is what they, 7-10. 17-game season. What am I doing? 7-10 for the Minnesota Vikings. So here we go. So final win-loss prediction for all the teams based off of the rest of the season schedule. 10-7-1 for the Packers, 11-6 for the Lions, 10-7 for the Bears, and 7-10 for the Vikings. So clearly, I have the Vikings finishing in 4th place. And between these 3 teams, based off of these standings, you would have the Lions at number 1. You would have the Packers at 2, probably, and then the Bears at 3. But here we go. There are some games in here that I pointed to you guys, right? What happens with this Denver game? What happens with this stretch for the Bears? What happens with certain things here with the Lions as well. So we're talking about a difference of a game here. Very, very much up in the air. So yes, the Bears can absolutely win the division. Will they? Obviously is the question, but they absolutely can. I think the key for the Bears is going to be, like I said, these 2 games right here. If you could pull off wins there, that would go a long way. And then the losses that I do have, right? You lose to Philly, Green Bay. I'm totally good with that. Like that's, those wouldn't be bad losses. And then San Fran as well. That's a winnable game. I have them as a loss, but it's a winnable game. So you could certainly win the division based off of what we're seeing here. So let me know what you guys think about that. Do you agree or disagree? Leave a comment down below with your thoughts as always.